Good very early morning, folks. I just thought, watching a few American podcasts that I keep my eyes on, I thought I might make comment on the what I see in the Trump election fiasco, etc. Because one thing is sure, the thing that is being formulated everywhere is confusion. So I think we all have to accept that we don't know what's going on. Suffice to say, there's a lot going on, and a lot that we would, I suppose, different sides are seeing it in different ways. So the left is seeing it in one way, the right is seeing it in another. And I have to say, I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to understanding what Donald Trump has actually done in America, for America. Obviously, especially in this last year, I've been more focused to what's going on here in Blighty. And of course, being close to Europe, being close to the Middle East, I've always kept my eyes on what's going on there. And so my biggest insight into what Donald Trump has achieved in his 4 years would, I'd have to say, come from what he's done in the Middle East. And that, for me, is rather frightening in relation to Donald Trump. If anything, has been a hero of the Israel idea. That's an absolute fact, in my opinion. Now, let's just go back to 9/11, and let's say from that the wars were launched everywhere, and that was under the Bush-Blair partnership. And then we had Obama. In Obama's 8-year tenure, we do know that he quadrupled the debt. So he was a player for the finance. But I think what's definitely come to the fore pre-Trump administration, but especially during Trump administration, is that one thing that Obama did achieve was to build a very radicalised and paramilitary left wing. And we can see that in Antifa, and we can see it in Black Lives Matter. So I would say Obama, he expanded the wars, he introduced the drones, etc. So he played a big part in the financial continuation of the nonsense, as he also played a good part in continuing the wars. From the moment Trump took office, the rise of Antifa and the violence and the nonsense that we all expect from what we know as Bolshevism. You know, the two go together. And I think what actually happened with President Trump is he was turned into a sort of victim president, as it were. And the left used that to a good degree to turn everything that Donald Trump was saying into some kind of cry of a victim, and to try and lessen its impact. But what they've actually done in doing that is also victimised the real core of American thoughts before President Trump and during, which was "Make America Great Again," and these other phrases that the deep state picked up through Cambridge Analytica and Robert Mercer's networks, to give that to President Trump in order to gain people's attention, and that definitely worked. So in essence, with Trump, with this victim mentality that the left has shoved onto him in the media and its control of the fake media, has started to do the same thing Obama did to the left, but into the right. It's militarizing. It's encouraging juntas, especially so since the lockdown. You know what I mean? I mean, they took everybody down to such a low frequency, fear and worry and etc., financial hardship, and then all this. So what started off as protests for lockdown has turned into this, but not from the left, from the right. So just looking back over the last 12 years, you can say, if anything, there's been a massive move by the elites to divide America into left and right. And I have mentioned this on previous videos, but if you are intent on creating a civil war in a nation, you have to create two sides. That's your Republican Democrat. Bi-party. It's a silly system. It's a bad idea. It really is. But if you want to turn then those two sides to a point of civil warfare, then you have to play a script out that turns each side into a refusal absolute to listen to anything the others have to say. That's when you've reached the point that you could trigger a civil war quite easily. So those have been my thoughts in relation to what's going on. And as I said, you look at the world leaders today, and President Donald Trump, from what he says, by far, apart from the Ukraine, some of the past Ukrainian presidents and some of the Eastern European prime ministers, etc., they are pretty savvy people, and they're under some pressure. And Trump has sounded that way too. And as I've said, I'm not an expert in what's gone on in America in this last 4 years. I just haven't had the time to actually put my study eyes into the American politics. But suffice to say, we are in a mess. And today it's just been announced that he's actually declared an emergency exists in the District of Columbia. Now, I can understand this in the sense that there's going to be an inauguration. So they naturally then have to secure the District of Columbia in Washington, because of course there's going to be a lot going on. So I understand it in that sense, I really do. Now you've got your QAnon people that are excited because they're seeing the beginning of the arrests, etc. All this that they've been playing up on QAnon about against paedophilia, the child trafficking networks, etc. So they're seeing it as that. And yeah, you can see that why they'd see it so. But I think the worrying thing is when you get into what it actually, the words of it, which are, the President's action authorises the Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that's FEMA, to coordinate all disaster relief efforts. Which have the purpose of alleviating the hardship and suffering caused by the emergency on the local population, and to provide appropriate assistance for required emergency measures authorised under Title 5 of the Stafford Act, to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety, and to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe in the District of Columbia. So, okay, all sounds well, but, disaster relief efforts. Okay, so then you're in the realm of Red Cross camps. Can you see what I'm saying there? Just look at the words that they're using to coordinate all disaster relief efforts. What is the disaster? Also, given the fact right now, Warp Speed is militarised and it's all about vaccinating upon the American population. And then you look at the measures authorised to save lives, to protect property and public health and safety. Now, without the pandemic, that would sound well. Health and safety is sewers, everything, all that kind. But when we're looking at it in light of this pandemic, I'm not so sure I like the words being used in that paragraph. And they're saying it's to lessen or avert a threat of catastrophe. Well, the only catastrophe on the table at the moment is the bug. It says, goes on, specifically FEMA is authorised to identify, mobilise and provide at its discretion, that's power, equipment and resources necessary to alleviate the impacts of the emergency. That state of war kind of emergency measure. And then it goes on, emergency protective measures limited to the direct federal assistance will be provided at 100% federal funding. So this is the Federal Reserve that's going to be administering this, because it's funding it. So that's the Bank of England. Pete Gaynor, Ministry of Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Department of Homeland Security, named Thomas J. Fargione as the Federal Coordinating Officer for Federal Recovery Operations in the affected areas or area. So I would suggest people take a good look at who Thomas J. Fargione is, to get an insight as to which group he is affiliated. So, I'm just, like I said, you can see acceptable inauguration coming on. They have to secure Washington. The words they're using in light of pandemic, the fact that here in Blighty they're getting psychotic with their obsession. They're now talking curfews, an end to the bubble. I even had one, never even started. But you can see a drive by this. I mean, we can call it right wing now, because it's not to the right conservative outlook that we're talking about, neither in these bunch of rogues at Westminster now under the defeffle, or indeed the Republicans in the United States. It's as though they have been co-opted by what we do know as ultra right wing, which has always had its home in Germany. You follow the lines, and it does look to me like we've got a global push by these lines emanating from that area, pushing this absolute insidious nonsense. And here they're going new variant in America. It's all about Trump the victim, or poor everybody. So yeah, I'm not sure what to think, and I'll at this stage I'll still take note of what those American people that I do watch and take note of are saying in this next week as we head to the inauguration of whichever president is going to be taking the seat for the next 4 years. Just one more thing, and this has been playing on my mind since I watched it, because if it's correct, and if you watch it, it's impossible not to see it as it is, basically. And that is, I was being aware of the Simpsons video heralding in Donald Trump as a president from 1992. It's a long time ago. I've been aware of that for quite some time. But over Christmas, I came across one, and this guy had really gone to town on the actual footage in that episode. And there was one particular clip that just will not go away. And it was of President Trump coming down some stairs with his wife. I think it was his wife. And there's a set piece, obviously, because it's The Simpsons, so there's certain actions as the president walks down the stairs by himself, by his partner, and then by people in the background, particularly one guy with a sign. So there's certain hand movements, things going on in The Simpsons episode, that when he transferred it to this one particular walk down the stairs by Donald Trump, by President Donald Trump, it was perfect. Every hand movement, every stop, every placard, everything was perfect. To the point you would expect that President Donald Trump and all involved would have had to have rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed that news clip to have it absolutely exact to the video that I watched. I can't pass you to it because I can't find it. Whether it's gone, I don't know, but I looked through history and I couldn't find the video again, and it was an early hour job when I watched it, so I weren't really taking note. So I can't actually lead you to it, but I will say it might be there, but it is, you have to see that. You have to see that because, and you don't need me to say what it means. You just need to see it and then make up your own mind. And with that, I will say, till the next time.